There is a quaint verse that could be passed over easily here. But Jesus came to them and, laying his hand upon them, said, "Don't be afraid." We forget that touch of the Lord. They have just been involved in an ecstatic moment, seeing the great Moses, the great Elijah who had gone up, remember, in a whirlwind, in a chariot of fire. And here they're terrified. What on earth is going on? Can you imagine something of that scene? I was there in 2013, and time doesn't exist on that mountain, especially with one of the largest bells in the world right next to you. It's one of the top 10 bells, and possibly the only one functioning every day. It's in the monastery, the Greek Orthodox monastery, on one side. And one feels power and majesty, glory and timelessness. And in the clear blue sky of Galilee, one can see what one cannot see, what is awaiting us on the other side. We come from nothing. Our soul has been ignited in the bosom of the Trinity, and when we go dust unto dust, ashes unto ashes, the soul escapes from its envelope and travels back, if it's saved, towards the bosom of that Trinity, to see and to gaze into the eyes that made us, to gaze at love. Alas, mankind is gazing elsewhere. Right now, it's not just gazing at the material, the realm of the body, not just gazing at means of obtaining glory in this world, money, success, reputation. It's right now also gazing into the world of demons. The eyes of men are gazing into where Satan reigns. Look at them all the time. A high proportion into this. No matter what else is going on, no matter who else is next to them, even walking a dog, they're watching this in their time on earth. Satan has got them. Just make sure they're rocked to sleep on what matters. Now, Lent is a corrective for all that. If it's not different, it's not working. He took them, notice, to a high mountain apart. On the Feast of the Transfiguration in 1972, I climbed this mountain. It was in Greece. These perpendicular rock formations called meteors, hence the name of the place to this day, Meteora. These are places that have monasteries on the top, going right back in time. And the only way to get to them, until fairly recently in time, was through a basket that could hold a man. And monks at the top would have to slowly, with great patience, turn by turn, winch him up or down. That was separation from noise, from the earth. That's the level they went to, as in Ireland, of which we think today on the Vigil of St. Patrick. Think of Skellig Michael. It took 5 hours of rowing to get there, and many didn't make it. The Atlantic is ferocious. And in the experience of mankind, it has always been there. Our Lady claimed this part of earth as her own. It was to be her garden. It's the Holy Mount, Toagioros, Mount Athos, the Republic of Monks. No women allowed. Indeed, no female animals except cats, because of the mice. They have this from centuries gone by. It was claimed by heaven. And the unchanging rules, the unchanging rhythm of time controls that part of earth until monk after monk they sleep in the arms of the Lord, to whom they've given all. And I know from experience that the death of a faithful monk is a moment of great joy in a monastic community. They're buried without a coffin. The earth is put on their head as one sees the body going into the ground. And at La Chartreuse, there was no name either on the cross, as forgotten in death as they were in life. Victory. Remember, in the war, Winston Churchill galvanized the English nation with the sign of victory. Ultimate victory. We will conquer. Alas, is that how we think? One day, in chapter, Frère Jean-Charles, who was the President Superior, said, "Oggi devo andare a benedire un morto." Today, I have to go and bless a dead man. I thought to myself, a fat lot of use is that. It would be slightly more useful had they called him before. Well, no, you mustn't call the priest. They'll upset the man. And yet, these people are automatically saints, are they not, if we listen to what's said at the homily? My friends, isn't old Nick clever? On this day, I'd like you to think about one issue. It's where your internal energy is going. You have the right to take hold of your life. You don't have to be a slave to what has been invented by man to help him. You can, if you want, reclaim your freedom. You don't have to be available. The Lord who gave time has rights over it. And to have intimacy with our King, there are certain rules, as in the monastic life, that have to be followed. One has to opt to chisel out strong moments of emptiness and availability to only one, who needs total attention if he's to get through. And that's what he can't get right over the Christian world right now. One has a choice in life, my friends. One can go through the way of marriage or through the way of total concentration. Now, this question of going through marriage, it's kind of important, because all stands or falls on the quality of relationship, and good looks vanish. The soul doesn't. One marries a soul. Think of that, young people, before falling in love. You fall in love with the person, not the envelope, because that's the bit that remains. Actually, this week I had to go on a journey on business, and I happened to be on an underground, and I was moved. I sat down out of breath, and a lovely elderly lady looked at me and smiled. I just got out of it in time. Some stops later, I got off and I went up to her and whispered in her ear so that no one else could hear. God bless you. I often preach to young couples. True love is when a couple, years down the line, still hold hands. And all through that journey, her hand was in the hand of her husband. That was beautiful. And she blessed me back. Also, if one opts for consecration, one can opt for instance, a community. Is love reigning? If it's not, God isn't. Love attracts without any vocation's drive. Years ago, my parish sent me up to Aberforth when I was still in school because they had that community looking after them. There were Benedictines there in Cardiff, 6 of them, or 7. And coming away after my first time in Aberforth for a week, there were tears in my eyes as they put me on the minibus to send me to York Station. They were waving from the cloister. I was about 17 at the time, and something inside me said, there is love in this community. Basil Hume, later Cardinal, was a father, not administrator. And still, when Cardinal, he'd answer every letter immediately, personally. A father. And one needs a father, not an administrator. The same applies to a diocese. We need a father. And a diocese that has a father attracts. A parish priest also must be a lover of souls, and his place is not behind a computer. It's with his ear to the heart of his flock. Nothing, no delegation can replace that. His vocation is what? To lead them unto glory. For each soul across the whole planet has one thing in common. Its structure is the same. Each one is trying to get there with the means that it has. There's a fundamental difference, however. Is it heading for the light or for the dark? Is its will switched on or off to the impulses of grace? And if it's switched off, the consequences will follow. Never, ever will it see the loving gaze of God.
Well,